Barbie, you famously played the hot Cenobite. That's a sort of twisted, extra-dimensional being who's condemned to torture human souls for all eternity.
Also known as a demon from hell.
A demon from hell. I've been accused of that in my day, mostly from Peter. You were in Clive Barker.
It's just the haircut. It's very similar to a Cenobite.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? I shaved the horns just for the show. Come on, give me some credit here. In Clive Barker's Hellbound, which was the sequel to the original Hellraiser. So what's your reception at like a Comic-Con convention? Do you get those kind of... Do you get adolescent boys and kind of from the sort of fanzine crowd saying, "Oh, I saw Hellraiser, and can you sign my arm in blood?"
I've done that with, "Can you sign my tattoo of you so I can get your signature tattooed also on my thigh?"
On the inner or outer?
Front.
Front thigh. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're keeping it family friendly.
Well,
This was a tattoo of your character.
My face, yeah. The face of my character.
How much makeup did it take to...
4 hours of makeup, prosthetic makeup, and they had put a bald cap on, and then they put these pieces that they'd made to my head. I had to have a mold made of my head, and so they put this stuff called alginate all over your head.
Okay, yeah, alginate.
And there's one person who's...
Made of kelp?
Yeah. There's one person whose only job is to make sure the alginate doesn't block your nostrils, right? So you're sitting there going, I can't see, I can't, breathe except through my nose. And then they put plaster bandages over it, and the plaster heats up as it dries. And so the air coming into your nostrils gets warm. Now, this is your only input. And so I started going, because I was thinking that I was going to suffocate. And they said, "It's okay, Barbie, it's okay. Please don't rip the makeup off." The alginate off.
So on a porn film, you have a fluffer, and in a horror film, you have someone who keeps your nostrils free of alginate.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then they made the bust of my head, and then they could design the makeup so it fit perfectly onto my skin.
Do you believe in the existence of the Necronomicon? And even better, if so, do you have a copy? Oh, she's getting a bit shy here, folks.
I have to admit that basically, if it exists, that's lovely, but I don't have a copy.
She doesn't have a copy. She's being coy. Well, the Necronomicon has been called a fictional grimoire.
Yeah.
It's a book of spells, and it's said to be able to summon the old ones. I mean, we all know what that means.
That's the Conservative Party.
Yeah. Or the Republican Party. Dick Cheney rises from
Dick Cheney.
Pretty damn close, actually.
Oh, God. It's pretty close. I'll bet there's a spell in there for raising Dick Cheney. And for centuries, people have gone, "Who is this Dick of Cheney?" Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. Imagine, they've already raised him from the dead twice. He's got 3, 4, 5 hearts now.
I know.
He goes through them like a VW bus goes through engines.
Extraordinary.
Your latest book is called The Venus Complex,
Yes.
and there's an interesting story behind the inspiration for that, something involving a dominatrix with a degree in human sexuality. Would you care
And
to...
she was trying to get her master's in
elaborate?
forensic psychology as well, and until they discovered what she did for a day job.
Forensic psychology.
Yeah, and she was counseling serial killers in prison, and then they discovered what she did. Now, I would have said she had more hands-on knowledge of the sexual deviancy than most of your doctors sitting there in their offices.
This is probably true.
But anyway, she said her greatest sexual fantasy was to sleep with a serial killer. And I went, oh my God, but...
who? Who did she look and say, "Oh God, that Ted Bundy is so hot"?
Well, hey, a lot of people... He got married after he was in prison.
Well, who doesn't really? If you make the headlines, there's tons. They're lining up. It's almost like getting a fast car.
Well, Richard Ramirez as well. He was another one who was a horrendous serial killer. The things that he did were awful, and he got married after all his crimes came out, and his wife said, "Oh, he's always been really nice to me." I wish I still had my Barbie doll. My mother made me give it to charity or something. No, I actually went through a period of being very ill as a kid. And, it's interesting. I read other authors sometimes go through. Robert Louis Stevenson spent 2 years in bed or something. I spent 6 months in bed. I was really sick. And, I was on all this sort of interesting medicine that I later discovered was sedatives and stuff. And Barbie was there, and I was bored stiff. So I thought, I wonder what it would look like if she got sucked into a quicksand pit. I tortured her.
This is proof.
Yeah.
Dr. Nana's correct.
I tortured her.
You filled it with ketchup and cut her in half.
No, I didn't fill her with ketchup. That's interesting. I didn't do that. No.
Did you ever date a drummer?
Yes.
Bullseye.
It's the same guy. Yeah.
The same guy. Wow.
Yeah. I don't want to actually. Maybe I shouldn't mention names.
I think you should.
But hold on. He actually did apologize for breaking my heart into 17 tiny pieces. So
He was a drummer.
Is there somebody we would know?
and a record producer.
And a producer.
Would we know the name? Would we know?
I
the
don't
name?
know. It depends on.
Danny Douchebag.
He wasn't
Sure
he wasn't a douchebag. He just had other priorities.
Okay.
You know.
Look at that. Look at the kindness.
But you know, Spandau Ballet.
We're familiar. Yes,
Yeah,
we've heard.
He produced Spandau Ballet.
Okay. Big hair, drummer, produced Spandau Ballet, and you thought that was going to work out at one point.
Hey,
Man, some people. I mean, listen, I was. Hey, we were all young and foolish once.
I actually swore off musicians for years.
Barbie,
Yes.
I want to ask you, have you always been heterosexual?
Yes. Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because I want to know.
Well, I have always been heterosexual. I do find certain women very attractive. I think women look at each other in a very different way than men do, obviously.
Oh, for
So
sure.
I'm learning, yeah.
Yeah, but you say, "Oh, wow, she's hot." You know, you can see a woman's sexual attractiveness. But I am heterosexual.
Well, there's also that. You talk about a double standard when you talk to women who've had maybe they've had a dalliance with another lady, you know, or like Katy Perry, I kissed a girl and I liked it, whatever.
That's a great song.
Yeah, we were all hanging out together, and then, you know, Sasha and I got separated at the party, and then we got locked in the loo, and then she just looked so good in that mini skirt, and I kissed her and things. But like that would never, I would never be. Yeah, so I was like, I was watching the Knicks game with Mark, and you know, his hand kind of brushed my thigh when he was reaching for the popcorn, and I kind of looked. That would never happen. There was just no. How about you, Pete? You ever had a good spike shag?
What's that? Oh, I'm so out of the loop. What's a spike shag?
Use your imagination.
Yeah. I think it speaks for itself.
I want to ask you about. I want to continue on this because
Okay.
I'm a bit concerned that you feel that most men are rapists or potential rapists. Is that
No,
right?
I never said that. For goodness
I know
sake.
you didn't say that.
Would
but
you
did
say
you think that?
Would you say that all men have a secret rape fantasy, for instance? Or most men, or give a
Well,
percentage.
it's interesting. A long time ago, another girlfriend of mine gave me, "Oh, you've got to read this book." And it was called The Secret Garden. It was all about women's fantasies. Okay, and now there's a lot of yakety yak about women have this rape fantasy, and I totally disagree
I thought you were
with
going
that.
to go the other way with Jennifer Aniston or something. Okay.
No.
Oh, rape fantasy. That's fine. Go on.
No. They don't have a rape fantasy. They have a ravish fantasy. Remember the old-fashioned word, the ravish?
Yeah, the bodice rippers.
Yeah, and if you want to be ravished by, say, Rutger Hauer in his, Blade Runner days, that's not being, that is, it's like, yeah, this guy you would really like to.
You want to be taken
have
consensually by force.
sort of pushed up against the wall a bit and stuff. Yes,
Right, yeah.
yeah. As far as how all men being potential rapists, I know and really care about a heck of a lot of wonderful guys, and I know they're not like that.
Barbie, do you feel you've been exploited?
Well, I played a demon from hell who ripped people's skin off. So I didn't think my character was, that poor female Cenobite. I didn't feel that as part of my experience in filming a horror film. The certain things, I was in a movie once, and the director said, "Listen, in this scene, I'd like you topless." And I went, "Really? That's not in the script." And he went, "Yes, well, I think it would be better if that was." And I said, "Okay, you can pay me. How much are you going to pay me extra then?" And he said, "Oh, we're not making any money on this film." I went, "Well, I happen to know you pre-sold the video rights alone for £30,000 or £30 million or something. He went, oh, you can just leave the set. And he got some other girl, but he didn't ask her to take her top off. So what was the story?
But if they make a film out of your novel, you'll collect a royalty check happily. And that's, I mean, as I understand it, there's going to be a lot of women dying, surely prostitutes, and, you know, there's going to be a lot of truckers out there slipping a hand down their trousers watching that.
Ooh. Do you think?
Well, yeah,
Is that what
I mean, that's what Jeremy Clarkson said.
It's not dangerous driving.
That's as I understand it. That's, you know, you drive however many miles you drink several cups of coffee, you murder.
Oh, you're
a
dissing
prostitute,
truck drivers, right?
You drive several thousand miles. You drink more coffee. Maybe just bump a line of methamphetamine. You murder another prostitute.
Okay.
No, is that not in her? That's a Jeremy Clarkson observation.
You're going to get truckers coming after your butt, honey.
What was that movie where the truck came after the dudes?
Duel.
Steven Spielberg.
Duel.
Yeah.
Brilliant film. Steven Spielberg's first film.
That was terrifying. The Hellraiser was terrifying. I didn't understand what was going on because I was like 12 or something, and my older friends had talked me into going to see it.
Here's the thing.
And I didn't understand what was going on, but I still had nightmares.
Well, it's
Thanks
interesting.
for that.
No, sorry. But here's the thing, right? I go to these
I didn't make
conventions.
any money out of my nightmares either, damn it.
Okay, I go to these conventions. These people come up and tremble before me. It's very weird, actually. Right? These people, and you scared me so much when I was 8. And you know what I say to them? I say, what the heck were your parents doing showing you that film when you were 8 years old? I got scared to death watching Invaders from Mars, and you can see the zippers in the monster. I'm talking the 1953 version. You can see the zippers in the monster's costume.
That is a very kind and maternal take. I think, yeah. I was expecting you to say, as an 8-year-old, you sure were a pussy.
Nope.
I'm not making any kind of judgment. I'm just pointing out the world we live in as we.
Oh, that's funny because I thought there was a little touch of judgmentalism there.
Totally judging you.
Yes,
go for
but
it.
here's
Go for it. Go for his throne.
Just to
Rip his
wind.
guts out.
Look out, because I'm also jury and executioner.
Oh,
No,
Charles Bronson,
I
are you?
swear I wasn't. I didn't. I've never done.
Just
By the
that they
way,
can
what was
find.
Charles Bronson like?
he was a lovely, lovely man.
Did you call him Chuck?
Yeah. I called him Chuck, but not to his face.
Ooh, well, what some humans do to each other in the privacy of their own home as it harms no one is no problem to us, but if you're a serial killer, we're not inviting you on the show.
No.
At least not in the
Naughty,
studio.
naughty.
Maybe via Skype. The book is called The Venus Complex. It's by Barbie Wilde, and we are giving away 2 fantastic signed copies to the first people who send us an email at
Really easy.
LAD at Litopia.com.
So LAD at Litopia.com. Just send us an email and you will get a copy. Signed copy.
Signed. We are also giving away, please state your preference, 3 fantastic signed prints. We believe they will be signed at some point. We have to find the perfect pen, which we'll do afterwards. We have the Cenobite right here. How much data is held in a Cenobite? Do you know? If you know how much data is held in a Cenobite, email us at lad@litopia.com. No, seriously, the first people to email will get one of these 3 amazing prints from the original Hellbound film, from which terrified many of our childhood. And this one even features Pinhead himself.
Yeah, these are collector items.
I just want to point out that particular photograph. Oh, no, sorry, I'm wrong. Sorry.
No, there she is.
Yeah, it was degored, and I had to get the guy to gore it up a bit. That's actually from one of the Japanese poster, and they thought maybe the Japanese might get upset by excessive blood.
Really?
So they degored it, but I had somebody gore it back up again.
There's a word for that. Well, we are gory as hell here at Litopia After Dark. It's been a fascinating evening.
And don't forget also...
Oh, and
yeah,
how did I
calendar.
forget? We've also got the fabulous pinup calendar. If you're thinking of having any
It's not a pinup calendar. It's a woman in horror calendar.
It's a woman in horror pinup calendar.
It's got some very, very women who are prop masters and makeup artists and special effects people. There's a woman who makes bugs, and she's covered in them.
Ooh.
It's so sweet.
Ooh.
But it's all for charity, for Rape Crisis and the Sophie Lancaster Foundation.
There we are.
All profits go to charity. And
you can get it free just by emailing us.
And December is me.
Oh, look at that. Looking good with the skulls. She may have boiled those herself.
And that's my own like Pandoric puzzle box that I designed myself.
Very nice. I am so not playing with that thing.
Don't open the box.
Don't open the box. The first rule of horror. All right, thank you very much for joining us here tonight at Litopia After Dark. I'm Ian Wynn, the techno-pagan octopus messiah, here with a Mr. Peter Cox, who's been running the boards, our fantastic producer, and our guest tonight, Barbie Wilde. Where can we find you on the web, Barbie?
www.barbiewilde.com for all news, reviews, and interviews.
There we are. Very nice. And thanks for listening tonight, and good night. Sleep well. No nightmares.
Sleep tight.